Hello friends, and welcome back to Scaling Stories. Today, I've got some more highly upvoted posts from Best of Redditor updates. Like always, I'll be reading you the posts and giving you my opinions, and I also hope you do the same in the comments down below. Also, I'm currently monetized through YouTube and Spotify's creator program, so watching on either of those would mean a lot to me. Thank you so much for your support. Today's first story started as a comment from the Ask Reddit subreddit. The comment was made by Redefine19 on June 5th, 2014, and the title of the post he commented on was, "Has anyone ever had an extremely close friend want to suddenly stop all communication with you?" Yeah, it was weird. This guy was my best friend all the way through college and for several years after that. We knew each other's deepest, darkest secrets. We dropped MDMA and acid together. He cried on my shoulder at his grandfather's funeral. He was going to be best man at my wedding. One day, we were at the pub, and a mutual friend of ours came over, and we got talking. At one point, he said to my friend, "Hey, weren't you going to ask OP something?" "I can't," replied my friend, and walked away. He went straight home without explanation. That was 4 years ago, and I have spoken to him exactly once since then, at a party. He seemed quite friendly and warm towards me until I asked him what had happened that day he left me in the pub. As soon as I mentioned it, he walked away and refused to talk to me again. He won't accept my friend requests on Facebook or respond to my texts, and our mutual friends have no idea what's going on. I've moved on now. If he doesn't want to talk to me, then fair enough. I'll stop trying to figure it out. I would just like to know what happened because it's a total mystery to me. Even our mutual friend, who was also there at the pub that day, says he doesn't remember what the conversation was about or why he reacted that way. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, "You need to pressure the pub friend to tell you. He knows. It was obviously some sort of a big deal. Otherwise, your friend wouldn't react that way. He was probably instructed not to say anything. Mysterious." OP says, I have always suspected this. To be honest, I haven't seen the mutual pub friend for a few years. I moved away from that town now, and I'd rather not get involved in it now. If it was a big deal then, it probably isn't a big deal anymore. Smiley face. Commenter 2 says, "It's a big deal to us. You've dragged all of us into your mysterious life happenings, and we deserve to know. Now, get to the bottom of this issue. Dig up buried hatchets, scrape open healed wounds, and do it because Reddit needs answers. He probably took your winning lottery ticket without telling you and is having a blast spending your fortune. That's what I say." Commenter 3 says, "Probably he's gay and he loves you but can't cope with that." OP says, "I never even considered that, but I guess it is kind of plausible. Damn." Commenter 4 says, "Or he fooled around with your partner and was supposed to tell you. Mutual pub friend knew and prompted the conversation. Maybe mutual pub friend didn't think it was his place to tell you himself, which is why he hasn't divulged the information. He might have just wanted your other friend to man up and sort it out. Maybe. Or maybe he loves you." Commenter 5 says, "Reddit demands closure." OP adds an edit to his post. "Okay, most of you seem to think he was either screwing my girlfriend or he was totally gay for me. The more I think about it, the easier it is to believe that either one of these scenarios could be true. In any case, it doesn't really matter now. It was years ago. I have a new best friend now, and I'm married to the girl of my dreams. Additional edit. I married a different girl from the one I was seeing 4 years ago. Thanks for your input, guys. To whoever bought me gold, thank you." Okay, guys, you've worn me down. I'm going to try to speak to my friend and the mutual friend and get to the bottom of this. I'll post the results. Please be aware that I may not get instant results, or indeed any results at all. So watch this space. Update 1. I tried contacting the mutual friend, but he appears to be unreachable. According to a couple of my friends, he moved to Wales to study at university a couple of years ago and kind of lost touch with everyone here in England. Also, he isn't on Facebook or Twitter or anything, and no one seems to know what he is doing. My mysterious friend, the guy who ditched me at the pub, has either deleted his Facebook or has blocked me. I'm currently in the process of getting his phone number. I've also asked a couple of friends to let him know that I would really like to speak to him. I found out that he's currently engaged to a girl. Hopefully, I'll get closer to talking to him tonight, but it's getting kind of late here, and I don't think it is polite to bother him this late. Perhaps more to follow in the morning. Update 1A. I got my friend's number from another friend. I sent him a WhatsApp message asking him to call me or text me back and saying that I know it's been a while since we spoke, but I'd really love to speak to him and maybe catch up. My phone tells me that he last checked his WhatsApp messages this afternoon. Like I said earlier, it's getting pretty late now, so I'm going to assume that he's asleep. And on that note, I'm going to bed. I've got to wake up at 5 a.m. Fingers crossed, I have some news in the morning. Night night, smiley face. Update 2. Good news, everyone. My friend, who, to avoid confusion, from here forward, we'll call Roger. The mutual friend can be Nick. Replied to my message. He said he was working until 3:30 p.m. today and will give me a call this afternoon. The message sounded pretty friendly too. It started with, "Hey man," and he added a smiley, which I think makes it look promising. It's been over 2 years since I last spoke to him, so I'll have to be careful how I approach the conversation later on. Obviously, I'll update you later on how that goes. Getting a bit nervous now. 2:04 p.m. GMT. Starting to get really nervous about talking to my friend when he calls in a while. You guys have no idea how close I came to not texting Roger and just pulling off the longest, most elaborate, and most suspenseful, tree-fitty gag in Reddit history instead. Don't worry, I wouldn't do that to you, Reddit. I just hope he does call me like he said. Update 1 day later. Update 3, or 4, or 5, or whatever. I just had a very illuminating conversation with Roger. We had a lovely catch-up. He's getting married in September and asked if I wanted to come along. He now runs his own business and DJs at the weekend. But you don't want to hear about that. Here we go. So, collectively, Reddit decided that he was either banging my girlfriend or he was in love with me. Well, the truth is actually a mixture of both. He wasn't banging my girlfriend. He was in love with her. I think 1 or 2 of you actually suggested this but weren't taken very seriously. Give yourselves a round of applause. You were spot on. You see, what happened is this. Before I started dating my ex, let's call her Penny, Roger had a huge crush on her. We were all at school together, but we didn't really know each other then. The problem was he never said anything about it to anyone. So, when I started dating her after college, he felt really envious towards me. I mean, this guy was seriously head over heels in love with her, but he never did anything about it. I got to know him in college, and we became best friends. And then, when Penny came back on the scene and she and I started dating after Roger and I left college, he started to slowly resent me. When we all started hanging out together, it got incredibly hard for him to watch her and me together as a couple. He kept it all bottled up inside. Nick, the mutual friend, never actually knew about this, but he did know something was wrong and that Roger really wanted to tell me about it. He said ask, but tell would have been more accurate. The day Roger met me in the pub, he thought he was ready to tell me, but he lost his nerve at the last minute and just couldn't do it. He didn't want to risk splitting us up and making his best friend unhappy. Even though he wanted so much to be with her, he just couldn't betray his best friend. I do think he should have told me that day instead of just cutting me out of his life altogether, but he was obviously hurting so much that he felt that it was his only option left at the time. I kind of feel bad putting it on the internet, but this is Reddit, and I'm just an anonymous stranger, so I suppose that makes it a bit better. I just hope he isn't a Redditor. After he left me in the pub that day, I sent him a few texts and Facebook messages over a few months, but then kind of gave up. On the phone, he said if I had sent him a friend request or a text in the last year or so, he would have responded. The reason he hasn't been in touch lately is because he assumed I was mad at him. He was so relieved to finally get all of this off his chest. My ex did end up cheating on me with a different guy, but that's a whole other story. So, we're friends again thanks to you guys. Now we can start building bridges. Am I mad at him for totally ditching me for years? Hell no. He handled it the only way that made sense to him at the time. I respect that, and any hurt or confusion he may have caused is long gone. Was I mad at him for being in love with my girlfriend? Please. What? I'm going to be mad at someone for having feelings for another person? Come on. Besides, the way I see it, he saw her first. He just didn't do anything about it. Thanks for pestering me to resolve this with your OP, please, and the like. Thanks, Reddit. You're awesome. I'm sorry this story didn't have a more exciting ending, but that's life. Stories in real life usually have boring endings. Thanks for sticking with me for this long. Scaling Stories Corner. Legitimately, that was actually a pretty fun read. I was low-key kinda expecting to see something like Roger having some secret crush on OP all those years ago, or maybe some crazy secret hidden affair since, I mean, we are on Reddit after all. But I guess that was a pretty normal life story as far as Reddit stories go, which is pretty nice considering like 95% of these stories are actually a secret crush or affair field. I do think it's kind of crazy that Penny ended up cheating on OP at some point in time, because maybe it was a blessing in disguise that Roger never confessed his feelings and potentially got with Penny in an alternate universe. That would have supremely sucked. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, "I'm so happy for you. That's awesome when things work out like that. Good on you for following through." OP says, "Thank you. I'm completely thrilled to bits." Smiley face. Okay, friends, so that concludes our first story of the day. Next up, we have a story from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. It was posted by illsecretary205 on June 29th, 2021, and was titled, "Am I the jerk for telling my friend that she needs a life of her own and she has to stop leeching off of mine? Hi, my 25 female, long-term friend, 25 female, has a history of doing whatever it is that I'm interested in at the moment. She asks questions until she's got a clear idea of what music/books/movies I'm into, and then does a whole act of how she discovered that in front of the whole friend group. Being the pushover that I am, I'm sad to say I've let her do this for some time, while slowly trying to put some distance between us. This also extends to people. Any new friend or even acquaintance I make should be cleared with her, and then she makes a friend move on them to get closer to them. She has even tried to weasel her way into my family gatherings and private events. She also, for some reason, keeps telling my dad that she's like the daughter he would have wanted. He's as confused as I am, but we learned to laugh it off. I've recently noticed that she is rarely interested in something of her own volition. All her leads are from me. I have been getting tired of her behavior for a while. Things came to a head a few months ago when she started texting a guy, 27 male, I've been speaking to for a while. Went on a few dates, nothing serious as of now, but I'm hoping there would be, and telling him how compatible they could be. He was confused and thought it was me texting from her phone, so he double-checked with me. I, of course, was beyond angry, but instead of confronting her immediately, I told him to ask her why she is doing this and if she was aware that he and I were almost a thing. Her response to him was to flirt even further and say that she and I always had similar tastes, but went on to mention how he might be better off with her. He sent me the screenshots and I sent them to her and said, "You need to leave me alone. Things in my life are not for grabs. You have leashed off of me for long enough. If you keep this up, I won't have an issue shaming you in our friend group." She got very standoffish and accused me of tricking her by using the guy's phone to make her look bad. She also proceeded to speak badly of me to our friend group. I might be the jerk because, all this while, other than trying to keep some distance between us, I did not properly voice my concerns. She did, however, notice my discomfort on various occasions, especially my family gatherings. So, am I the jerk for handling things this way? ScalingStories Corner. Nah. Absolutely not the jerk, and this isn't something you need to properly voice your concerns for. Obviously, you need to learn to live your own life and you can't just copy your friend's life for the rest of your life. And I wouldn't even be giving this person another chance at being in my friend group. This person is not even a friend. Their leaking with so much jealousy and envy at OP's life is actually insane. If I was OP, I would straight up just take the screenshots that the boyfriend sent her and send it to the rest of the friend group to let them know what kind of snake in the grass is lurking. Because if she can do that to OP, then she can also do that to any of them. And then let's see what they think. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, "Not the jerk, but I'm not sure you understand what friend means, because this girl isn't one. Yes, you were a bit harsh, but I can understand your frustration. Her behavior is beyond steamrolling your boundaries. It's outright disturbing." OP says, "Every time I try to put some distance between us, she shows up with a personal issue that she can only share with me, and she always guilts me by making it seem like she has no one else to turn to. And every time, so stupidly, I get looped back into the drama." Commenter 2, downvoted, says, "Everyone sucks here. She's clearly showing some honestly creepy behavior, and trying to swoop your guy isn't cool, but two wrongs don't make a right, and I feel you responded in anger and could have handled it better. That being said, I think you have 1000% valid points to tell her, but given your long-term friendship with her, I think a civil conversation would have been in order instead of threatening to ostracize her in your friend group. OP says, I wasn't in the greatest state of mind while replying to her. I was honestly just beyond myself with anger, and I agree I could have handled it better, but it was sort of like the final straw that broke the camel's back. Commenter 3 says, not the jerk. Yes, you could have said something sooner, but this is obviously inappropriate behavior, and you have good reason to suspect she has known that all along and isn't a hopelessly oblivious amoeba. OP says, I was hoping she would catch on to my discomfort and the timing of me trying to move away, but she would never acknowledge that. Commenter 4 says, not the jerk. I wouldn't say I'd shame her to the group, but I'd definitely tell them what she was trying to get up to. If you'd be ashamed of your friend group finding out about something, you probably shouldn't do it. OP says, so, some of our friends have mentioned to me how she has, in the past, seemed to ignore my personal boundaries, especially with my family events, and how some of her comments seemed off. I've discussed how her trying to copy me has affected me in the past with two of my super close friends, so it wouldn't be such a shock to them, I feel. Update 9 days later. Firstly, thanks to everyone who commented to help me out. Some of it was tough love, but I read every comment and had a chuckle at a few, but it also helped me realize that the issue wasn't as simple as someone copying my interests. So, after posting, I rang up one of my close friends to let her know what's been happening. She seemed appalled at how my friend made a move on the guy I was seeing. She also confided in me that she often keeps telling her how good and well my life is and how she wishes either her family was like mine or her job was like mine, etc. She thought it was just harmless wishing, but when everything was put together, it just seemed so unhinged. I also spoke to my dad and mom about how unnerving it was to have her try and do all the things I do when they told me that once, a few years back, while I was completing a work experience training in another city, she offered to come and stay at my house to keep them company. They honestly thought she was joking because she lives in the same city with her family, and my training was only for 6 months. So, with this new information, I decided it was well and truly the time to cut all contact with her. I have let my friends know that she is no longer a part of my life and to warn me about plans we were both part of, and most of them seem to see this coming. I've also decided to stop being around her other close friends. My friends have also told me that they'd keep her from knowing anything about me/my life updates. I was the one who brought her into this specific friend circle. A few of them already did not get along with her, so they were cool with not hanging out with her. After not texting her back for a while, she texted me to say, "Are you seriously going to let this one guy take away our years of friendship?" Something along the lines of that, and I just said, yes. She's kept texting and calling constantly and eventually sent a message saying, "I hope you and the guy don't work out," and then blocked me. I had refrained from blocking her because I did not want to aggravate her or have her show up at my house. But after she blocked me, I blocked her on all social media and told my parents what's happened. So, anyway, I feel better not having her hovering around my life, but I'm sure she is going to try and initiate contact sometime. But this time, I've decided to stand up for myself. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, "I am happy for you, but I'm also afraid for you. Hopefully, she will move on to something else, and she probably will. Do you have security cameras? Do you always make sure your doors are locked? Does she know where you work?" OP says, "Yes, I've recently moved back in with my parents, as my work switched to a work-from-home format, and this place is equipped with security cameras, and we have 2 German Shepherds, which I am pretty glad about." Okay, friends, so that concludes our second story of the day. Next up, we have a story from the Relationships subreddit. It was posted by FeelingWater on January 27th, 2018, and was titled, "Me, 29 male, and fiancé, 23 female. Been engaged 1 month. She wants a better engagement ring." My fiancée Rachel and I are not materialistic people, but somehow I'm finding myself in the middle of a problem that's all about money. I make about $95K a year and have a career with some upward mobility. Rachel is a 911 dispatcher making around $32K a year, and that's pretty much where she is going to stay for the foreseeable future. She loves her job because it helps people, and I respect that. I pay more than half the rent for our pretty nice apartment, and we are able to live comfortably, but frugally. I'm pretty much happy as long as I live in a nice space, and I don't need to go out and do a bunch of costly activities all the time. We don't overspend on going out to eat or big shopping sprees. Planning our wedding has been similarly frugal, with a $10K budget. One area of savings was the engagement ring. Rach insisted she didn't want anything extreme, so I went with a 1mm gold band. I think it looks very classy and clean on her, and I thought she liked it too. Until yesterday. She sent me an email with some links to rings on Etsy and asked if I might be receptive to a conversation about getting a different engagement ring. One ring has 7 diamonds on it. One ring is a big moissanite solitaire. Her favorite ring has 3 diamonds in a row on it and literally costs 10 times what her current ring cost. Is it wrong that I find this off-putting? We are very practical people, and I don't think it's financially prudent to spend a ton of money on a piece of jewelry with no function. I don't like people who care more about engagement rings/weddings than the marriage. And mostly, I don't want to get into a fight with my fiancé over money. Scaling Stories Corner. So, I'm of the mindset that you don't have to spend a ton of money on a wedding, or in this case, it would be an engagement or wedding rings. But that mindset only works if both people are bought into it. I think if OP's fiancé wants a better ring that's more in line with social expectations, then she's valid for having that desire. I think something like a ring is also very sentimental, and it's hard to place a value on it because she's either going to wear it every day or keep it safely guarded because of what it represents. So while you could cheap out on a wedding, I think on a ring you should at least be a little more open to spending more if your partner wants it. And also, OP said he got her a 1mm gold band. I'm not sure if real gold would make a difference, but I've worn a 1mm plated chain before to hold like a little jade thing, and I'm not even joking. I had to sneeze once, and I brought my shirt up to my nose to like cover it, and in the process, I accidentally pulled on the chain and it snapped. Like 1mm is incredibly tiny, but it wasn't real gold, so I'm not sure if that makes a difference. But anyway, regardless of everything, definitely before OP and his fiancé get married, they need to have a better conversation about finances and what they're willing to spend money on, instead of thinking both of them are not materialistic people and then thinking someone might be materialistic once something that costs money comes up. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, "Rings on Etsy and moissanite rings tend to be inexpensive. How much are we talking here? No, you shouldn't have to buy your fiancé a diamond ring, and it sounds like she's not demanding one, but I think it's fair that she likes the ring she has to wear and see every day for the rest of her life. And if you can afford it, it seems silly to dig your heels in over this." OP says, "I can't link it here, but if you go on Etsy and search LE3N59-N, that's the one she wants. Her tone isn't demanding, but I can tell she really wants an upgrade." Commenter 2 says, "That one costs $695, and you are balking. She is accommodating your cheapness, and you are balking. You are blowing this badly. How much did your phone cost?" Commenter 3 says, "He said it's 10 times more than the one he bought, so he spent $60 on her engagement ring. Slanted face emoji." Commenter 4 says, "When someone in the future asks, what is the least you can do? I'm a link to this post. Did the Google. That is a wedding band, dude. Jesus effing Christ. No wonder she wants something more. I fully support alternatives to diamonds, and I think people spend way too much on this stuff. But you cheaped out on the thing that she will be wearing every day forever as a symbol of your relationship. Every single one of her friends is going to wonder why you spent less on her ring than your, pick one, game console, TV, phone, winter coat, sunglasses, etc., etc." OP says to another commenter, "We didn't pick it out together, but my line of thinking is that a simple gold band looks good on any hand and matches every outfit. I was thinking more along the lines of minimalism than cheap. But yeah, I guess it was cheap." OP says to another commenter, "Deep down, I know you are right. I guess I don't like spending money because my parents would blow through every paycheck the day after payday, and it caused kind of a tumultuous childhood. But they were also never making as much as I am now, and I know I wouldn't go crazy after buying just one expensive thing. I guess I feel more secure with most of my money in savings, but it's not fair to her when she doesn't even have the option to spend a lot of money on something." OP says to another commenter, you're right, frowny face. I am thinking of tossing the old ring and telling her we can get whatever she wants within a $2K budget. Is that good or still too cheap? Update 4 days later. So I really took your guys' advice to heart and resolved to get my fiance a better engagement ring. I realized that I really dropped the ball by spending less than $100 on the first ring, and that she deserves something that she loves and a ring that will last a lifetime. I took her to a couple of jewelry stores to look at rings with a 3.5K budget in mind. She ended up going cheaper than the max budget and picked out a 3.3 carat moissanite solitaire that she is absolutely in love with. I feel like every time I look over at her, I catch her staring at her hand with a goofy smile. Admittedly, it was hard to spend over $1,000 on a cosmetic item, but it gets easier when I see how happy she is and how excited she is about getting married. I apologized about dropping the ball on the first ring, and we ended up having a 2-hour conversation about our values. She said she was hurt that I cheaped out so much and proposed with a fashion ring, but also felt a lot of pressure to not come off as materialistic, so she didn't want to complain. I opened up a bit about my family's money troubles growing up and how it's informed a lot of my current spending habits. We talked a lot about our upcoming marriage and what we want our lives together to be like. Then, we got around to addressing the elephant in the room. Rachel told me that she thinks I think she is a burden and that I wish she would quit her job, 911 dispatcher, and get something that makes more money and has better hours. I honestly don't mind at all that she has a crazy schedule, and I think her job is very important and should be paid more, but I will admit that I have had thoughts about her developing some new skills and moving into something that makes more money. I have been feeling a small bit of resentment lately for paying a much bigger percentage of rent and bills, but I also really wouldn't want to live in a place that fits in Rachel's budget. She wants me to see that there is more to a career than the money, and that her job gives her a great deal of personal fulfillment. I'd like her to be open to the possibility of moving up the career ladder in her field, whatever that may be. Basically, there has been some resentment and differing expectations built up on both sides. Day to day, we are very happy. She is the light of my life, and I can say with 100% certainty that I want to be with her no matter what. But we also have some things to sort out, so I am looking into premarital counseling. Scaling Stories Corner. Well, on the one hand, I'm like, yay, OP got her a better ring. But on the other hand, I'm like, wow, I'm shocked that he bought a ring for $60 when he was making over $95K. And I understand being money smart and everything, but for my significant other's engagement or wedding ring, I think I would definitely shoot for more than $60 to get something quality for them, even if I was trying to be frugal. Also, I'm side-eyeing OP a little bit for saying he feels resentment that he has to pay a large amount of the rent and bills for Rachel, because no crap you have to pay more. You're 29 years old, a little more established in your career, making a much more larger salary than, your 23-year-old fiance. She hasn't even had that much time out of college to build something if she did end up going to college. And it's a no-brainer that she wouldn't be able to afford as much as OP since he has a 6-year time gap on her where he was able to build himself up. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, I feel like every time I look over at her, I catch her staring at her hand with a goofy smile. Admittedly, it was hard to spend over $1,000 on a cosmetic item. The first sentence kind of shows you that it's not just a cosmetic item, my man. You're getting married soon. Time to realize what's not that important to you still might be important to others. Commenter 2 says, that's a really great way of putting it. Even though it is a material item, it represents a lot for the wearer and giver. I'm so glad that OP was willing to recognize his mistake and correct it. Even better is that he let his fiancée be a part of the decision-making process, something I'm sure she really appreciated. The mature way OP's fiancée conveyed her feelings and the fact OP was so willing to see the error of his ways and remedy the situation really bodes well for their marriage. Smiley face. Congratulations, OP. Commenter 3 says, I have been feeling a small bit of resentment lately for paying a much bigger percentage of rent and bills, but I also really wouldn't want to live in a place that fits in Rachel's budget. I mean, this is on you. It sounds like she would be content to live in a worse apartment on her own budget because her job is very fulfilling to her. You have the means to live better, and you want to live with her, so you do live in a better place, but that means, quite fairly, you are the one paying more for it. This also sounds a bit at odds with your whole I want to be frugal about the ring, when you know you could live in a lesser apartment at her budget, and thus save more money yourself, but you want to live better than that. You either pay for the nice apartment you want and live with your fiance in it and accept that, or you live apart and she can live in the crummy place she can afford and be quite happy because her job is very fulfilling to her. It sounds like the resentment is that she really loves her job, you don't love yours as much / at all, and you feel it's unfair to you that she gets to have the same quality of life as you due to your job while enjoying hers much more, if that makes sense. You think she should contribute equally if she's going to enjoy your lifestyle and not have a miserable time at work. If you love her and her being happy makes you happy, you should appreciate that you can provide that better lifestyle for her while she's enjoying her job. Life isn't all about money, but my family's money troubles growing up. If I had to guess, your family was poor growing up or couldn't manage money well, so you now perceive having a lot of money in your bank account as the end-all of success in life, and your fiance does not share that opinion. Commenter 4 says, definitely look into premarital counseling. I think you could really benefit from it, as your problems are fairly easy to work through. Congrats on the ring purchase and engagement. There's nothing better than looking at your significant other and seeing them giddy and love-struck because of something caring and loving you did. Opie says, honestly, seeing her so excited has really helped me get more excited for the wedding. I even made my own ideas board on her Pinterest account for stuff I think would be fun to add. Okay friends, so that concludes today's video. Leave a like and comment down below to let me know what you thought of it, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.